And I just wanted to give a quick announcement right away before we get started here. I know our sessions typically go from 9 until 11. Today we're going to do 9 to 10. We have a little bit of a lighter agenda, and so we just wanted everybody to be aware of that ahead of time for planning's sake, and to be mindful of your time. So just wanted to let everybody know that. Next slide. Okay, couple housekeeping items here. This session is going to be recorded, so as always, the main presentation only. Please use the chat for questions and include slide or topic context. Questions may be answered during the presentation or during designated Q&A times. We will pause after we do some of our presentation portions and then have time for a Q&A as we have in the past. And this is kind of new. We wanted to include this. To keep your comment or question off of the recording, begin your message with private in the chat, and one of our team members here at SBCTC will follow up with you directly. So if you would rather private message us rather than us talk about your question live on the recording, we are happy to do that. And so we just wanted to give everybody that option as well. And as always, our slide deck will be shared after the presentation out on the listserv. All right, next slide. Okay, introduction. So my name is Stephanie Wall. I'm a policy associate in student services and K-12 alignment here at SBCTC. We have a couple special guests with us today. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to our director, Jamie Traugott. I'll turn it on over to her, but she is here to talk about legislative session. So go ahead, Jamie, if you'd like to introduce yourself. I'll popcorn it over to you.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you all. Yeah, Jamie Traugott, Director of Student Services and K-12 Alignment. And yeah, I will provide some updates in just a bit.
Thank you, Jamie. Kristen?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kristen Jowie. I am the Program Administrator for Student Services and K through 12 Alignment at the State Board. And Tim will be joining us late. So in Tim's place, we have a special person. Noah is from our data team. Noah, can you introduce yourself, please? Noah's not presenting. We just wanted to call him out because he's part of our team.
Hello, everyone. I work with the policy research team at the State Board.
Thank you, Noah. And Noah does a lot of the behind the scenes data pulling for our dual credit and running START programs, all the dual credit math placement. And so he's just amazing. And we just wanted to give him a shout out today during our session. All right, so agenda. Like I said, it's a little bit of a lighter agenda. We've been very deep in legislative session for the last couple months. So we are going to provide some updates in just a minute here. But just looking at this agenda for planning sake today, we'll do our dual credit updates, starting with legislative updates. We'll do a little bit of a pause and have some Q&A, so opportunity for you all to ask us questions, and we will do our best to answer those. And then we're going to go ahead and do, I know we haven't done this since fall, so we're going to do college breakout conversations. So kind of like a mid-year pulse check and give you all the opportunity to talk to one another and learn from one another. So we'll do role-based breakout rooms, so kind of choose your own adventure. So we'll probably split it out into 3 different rooms, maybe advisors, enrollment folks, and then admin leadership. We thought that this would just be a great time mid-year to kind of have a check-in and really we have some facilitated questions, but really it's going to be an opportunity for you all to talk to each other and ask any questions that you might have for like roles. And then we'll do a quick share out and then we'll wrap up. So like I said, we're looking at about an hour today. All right, next slide. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to Jamie Traugott to talk about our legislative session that we just went through.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's good to see you all. I'm just going to focus in on the work around running START and what's come out of the session. I think all of you have heard from your college leadership and others that this was a very challenging session, maybe even more so than it has been when we were in the Great Recession. I remember working at Wenatchee Valley College and running START when we had that, except this time we're dealing with the federal cuts as well. So this was a very different world. We usually see lots of bills passing. We see extra funds come to us. We've never been in a position where we're having to fight for current funds. So it was a really challenging time. And I want to give a huge kudos for my team. They keep giving me kudos, but there's no way that we could have gotten through this without Chris and Stephanie and Noah. Noah pulled so much information out for our one pagers for our summer to highlight. And those are the numbers that our legislators were using throughout the session to really push to keep it at 1.4 or even get to the middle ground of the 1.3. And we could not have done it without Noah. And he was so quick. And every time we asked him, he came up with more. I was WebExing him all the time. Stephanie was as well, Kristen. And Stephanie and Kristen behind the scenes working with all of our students to get them to testify, all the logistics of getting you all the information. It was such a team effort. And I know there's so many people on this call that did all that work too with your leadership. It was the most challenging, yet even with it being a cut, there's some silver linings about the difference that we made just by the collective impact with this group. So huge, huge thank you to all of you. With that said, we know that the legislature at the very last, within the last 3 days of it ending last week, came to a consensus of not rolling back all the way to 1.2, but to do a 1.3. So as far as their annual FTE, we call that a win. You'll notice in the bill that if the millionaire tax is passed, that in that after that 27-28, we can roll back up to 1.4. So, but I will say with that millionaire tax, there's going to be, we expect some lawsuits coming and a lot of pushes around how it might be going against the Constitution, et cetera. So we don't know where that's going to end up. So I just want to make sure that while it says that it can go back up to 1.4, it really is going to be dependent upon our budget in the next 4 years and the millionaire's tax. And basically that millionaire's tax is assuming that in the next 4 years, we'll start to see some increases, but probably not until in another 4. Are we going to be at a place where we can think about any additional budget requests for our state, and specifically, I would say in the dual credit space? The legislature heard you all loud and clear. We had a lot of articles out about the difference that this FTE has made. And for those of you that have been in this world for a long time, you'll remember in 2011, 2012, when we had the Great Recession, that's when we got cut from 2.0 to 1.2. And we saw the huge impacts with that one, right? So I guess what I want to say is that we're working really close with OSPI to operationalize what 1.3 is to you all, students, to K-12 high school districts and our colleges. And so I know you've already asked for an updated RSEVF. I just ask that you just have some grace with us for the next couple of weeks as we make sure that we're building it in the best way possible and providing you some toolkits to use when advising students. Because we haven't been in a position, if anything, we've just gotten money, extra funds, et cetera. We haven't been cut back since 13 years ago. And so with that said, we want to be really mindful of not throwing something at you without ensuring that we understand the impacts to students and you all. So just appreciate the time as we figure out what that looks like on the RSEVF. I really think that's what I wanted to share was it was a rough session. I feel really lucky that we didn't get hit as hard with Running Start. So we saved about $7 million. For that program. You all may know too that we didn't receive any additional fundings for the gap in our cost of living expenses for our colleges, and then the overall I think a 1.5 to 2% cut around the CTC system. So this is a hard time for our colleges and our system. While it could have been worse, we're still in a really tough time, still trying to serve students. So I just want to be mindful of what's going around the state. If you all do not have the updated supplemental budget information, we can send that to you all as well, and may do that on the new listserv that we have for the Dual Credit Council. But I just want to, Stephanie, do you want to wait for questions, or do you want to take questions now for this piece?
It's up to you, Jamie. Do you want to,
I'm
since
good
we're
either
talking
way.
about this?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and open it up to questions about legislative session. I think that's good, kind of just to space it out.
Jamie, one of the questions is, if the millionaire tax does not go through, will funding remain at 1.3 in 28-29, or will it go down to 1.2?
I don't know. I don't know. I think they're very optimistic with this. I would think that they thought it through enough to not want to cut again, but I think we all know that we're living in a world that we didn't really expect with a lot of cuts. So I just can't say. I can say that there's such strong bipartisan support for Running Start. So it's on all ends. It's just how can they ensure that they can balance the budget? So I can't say.
Thanks, Jamie. Another question. I know that we don't have the date yet for the revised RSEVF. Do we have a date that we might expect it? Because totally get
Yeah,
wanting to
I'm
have good
looking at
guidance, but maybe it's
Yeah, I'm
coming.
looking at Stephanie. I'd say, I mean, I think we're meeting with OSPI almost every other day. And so I don't want to put like a time. I'm looking at Stephanie like a couple, what do you
Yeah, well, we OS, yeah, I think it's tough. I think part of this is right. Legislative session just ended. We just found out about this. We already have some drafts that I hope that's okay. I'm sure Tim would be fine with us telling him. We've drafted up the RSEVF, but we realize we need to kind of take a look at it in a little bit more detail. And like Jamie had said already, like we need to make sure we're doing this right because we're rolling back and we want to make sure we're not cutting access. So I would say maybe a couple weeks. I'm hoping, but again, we're not OSPI, and OSPI is the one that puts out the RSEVF. But we do have a meeting tomorrow, so I'm really hoping that we can make some groundwork with collaboratively to get that rolled out as soon as possible. We know you all need it, and we know it's time, it's go time. So we are working on it.
Yeah, and
So
I'm
I'm
already seeing the questions around the what that equals and everything,
yeah,
and that's exactly why you don't see a new RSEVF right now.
exactly.
Uh,
Yep.
so we know that where summer and fall enrollment hit on the timeline. I don't expect to delay it to the point where you're not able to do your advising for students. I would think in the next 2 weeks that before by that April time that we should, but please don't quote me. We didn't have the time with the change. It came up with, like I said, about 3 days before session ended, or 2 days. We didn't have a lot of time to run impacts and the best way to advise students. And also that the original intent when we changed to 1.4 was really around summer. While students can take additional courses in fall, winter, spring, the intent was that summer quarter from legislation. Now, it doesn't have to be, but that was the ultimate goal. So we also want to be mindful of giving advising resources for students to understand how they can utilize summer if they choose to do that. So the point, that 19.5 thing that I saw, that's a challenge. We've had waivers in the past, but that was the colleges making a decision to waive, and that had to go through our college, our presidents, and then our state board to make resolutions to make big changes like that. And we're at a place right now too where we're getting cut. So they're just bigger conversations that we've had to have before, which is why we want to be very careful and intentional before we send this out to you all, and also in hopes that there's not going to be, it will be clear and not as many questions. Yeah, there's just a lot of, I will just say there's a lot of complications with all of it. And the 1.3 just doesn't sit nicely as other numbers.
Other questions?
I will say that was the only no impact to, college and the high school, just for those that have programs. We have the additional inflation that changes the reimbursement a tad, which why things have been delayed on reimbursements this round, but there hasn't been any additional cuts. I don't anticipate any cuts for college and the high school or CTE dual credit at this time. Right now, it's just mostly this running start change for now. So
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. And so I see a question in the chat. So is it 58.5 total for the year? Again, we've already met with OSPI this week and we're going to tomorrow to revisit this conversation because we need to figure this out. So I know you all are looking for answers on this right now so that you can start advising students, and we're very mindful of that. So we are going to try to get on this as soon as possible. I mean, we have been on this, but to get you out what you need for advising for support of your students. So
Yeah, and I would
that's a great,
one
oh, go ahead.
oh
Go
no,
ahead,
sorry,
Jamie.
Stephanie. I was just
Yeah.
going to echo and also please don't get out ahead of it that you're advising with assumptions made. We want to just be so cautious that we're doing this in the right way. We're really not trying to delay anything. It's just this is a big change, unexpected in a good way because it could have been worse. But 1.2, we knew what we were dealing with, right? We would go back. We knew that this is new territory for us. So
Thank you, Jamie. And to Dan's question, yes, and does this replace the 63 credit limit? That was one part of the conversation we've already had with OSPI. And again, we're working on that, so I'm so sorry not to give you absolute guidance on that yet. That's one of the things we're in conversations about for the fifth year seniors and the total credit limit for Running Start students. Bree, I appreciate the question here. I'd love to hear what other colleges are recommending for students in this waiting period. Are you having students meet with the high school counselors while we wait? I don't want to put duplicate work on the counselors exactly. And we are going to do breakout sessions in a little bit here, so that might be something that could kind of flow conversation-wise into those breakout sessions, and y'all can talk amongst colleges and your roles on what might be a good best practice in this waiting period right now. So that's a really good suggestion there. Am I missing? Okay, this may be really early to know as well, but just want to throw it out as well. A question our admin is asking is how will it impact summer running start for next year? That's a really excellent question. So yeah, it will not, the legislative change is not impacting this summer of 2026. So we're talking about next summer that this will go into effect. Students will still be eligible to take up to 10 credits summer of 2027. So that's kind of what Jamie was speaking to. We need to figure out maybe some like best practices or guidelines or ed plans, mocked up ed plans. We're trying to again, I'm not making any promises, but these are the kind of things we're talking about to really just show that 1.3 can be used across the whole entire year. So, fall, winter, spring, and summer terms, and what that's going to look like for students. And it is kind of 1.3 it's not an easy cut point, right? It doesn't flow nicely. So, this is all part of the conversations that we're having right now as to how to best communicate this to students and families, to you all, to make sure that students are having access. So those are all really good questions. I really appreciate all the comments in the chat here. Other questions or comments about legislative session? I know it's a tough space to be in the waiting game right now, and I appreciate you all. Thank you so much, Jamie, for all your leadership and guidance and being the Running Start champion for us all. It was really impressive to watch your testimonies and all the work that did it throughout the legislative session, and just really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
thank you all. It's you all that did it. So I will stick around for any additional Q&As if needed. But yeah, I'll let you continue.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so we mentioned this last month, our newly approved CTC Community Technical College Dual Credit Council. It was approved by the college presidents on January 30th as a 3-year pilot. Woot woot. And thank you so much to everyone's work over the years pushing this forward. I know it was a collaborative effort, Jamie's leadership, several of you throughout the Running Start community. So we did it. I will take that as a celebratory moment here. So just wanted to give a little quick update on this. Again, this is a dual credit council for our community technical college system. It is going to focus on running start college and the high school and CTE dual credit, although it is going to be inclusive of all dual credit programs. But as we're doing this pilot work, those are the three programs it is focused on. The Dual Credit Council will formally report to Instruction Commission, and then Washington State Student Services Commission, so the student services side of the house. So it's kind of this shared reporting structure, so that that was really intentional to make sure that everybody, because we know dual credit kind of lives all over the realm of the college campuses. So this way, everybody is in the know with the structure. And again, 3-year pilot, hoping it will go on much longer than that. But really, the key areas are going to be statewide business practices, advising tools, data systems, policy, and legislative alignment. So bringing us all together as a community technical college system in the dual credit space. So the first launch meeting is going to be on April 16th virtually from 10 until 1 p.m. What I would like to say is that we had sent out a sign-up form for all of our community technical colleges to sign up to have representation on the Dual Credit Council. I am excited to announce that every single 34 community and technical college has responded and has representation, which is really exciting. Thank you all. So we have non-voting members, and then we also have voting members that will be part of the Dual Credit Council. And the fabulous Kristen put everybody that has responded into our Dual Credit listserv, Dual Credit Council listserv, which we just created as well. And so all of the communication for the Dual Credit Council will go out on that Dual Credit listserv. And so we're gonna try it out this week. We're gonna send out a kind of a one-pager, an additional resource about the Dual Credit Council, and we're also going to send out a form which will allow folks to nominate for executive council for the executive team for the Dual Credit Council. So all of that will come out this week. So we are busy working on this. We're very excited. And so there are some additional resources there at the bottom of the page. And thank you, Kristen, for popping them in the chat there. There's the Dual Credit Council proposal, so y'all can kind of take a peek at that, and then the Dual Credit Council bylaws. So if you have any questions, though, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Really looking forward to this. I'm really excited about the alignment that's going to happen across our system and all the great conversations that we're going to have coming all together in the dual credit space. So thank you everyone for just championing for this over the years. Thank you, Jamie, for your leadership and advocacy in this space. And we're doing it. So just wanted to take a minute to talk about that today. All right, next slide. Okay. And last month we kind of did like a call for proposals. This is the Re-engagement Washington Summit. So it's basically for Opportunity Youth and Adult Learner Champions. It's going to be at Renton Technical College. Registration is now open, so we wanted to share that with you all. The event is going to be held Friday, April 24th from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. So a full day. And really, the intent here is to talk about Opportunity Youth, to learn to come together as a system. There hasn't been really a re-engagement summit in a couple years now, like on a large scale like this. This is being spearheaded by Northwest Education Access, and really they do really wonderful work. So, I would strongly encourage folks here on the call, or folks that do work with Opportunity Youth to take a peek, because I think this is going to be a really excellent event. So just wanted to do a little plug here for Re-engagement Washington Summit. Okay, next. Okay, we'll just pause here quickly for a Q&A. I know we already kind of did that a little bit earlier, but if anybody had any questions, comments about the Dual Credit Council or the Reengage Washington Summit, or really any questions, this would be a great time to kind of pop them in the chat or go ahead and unmute.
We've got one question in the chat. Is there a link to sign up for the Dual Credit Council meetings?
I would say go ahead and Keely, go ahead and email me, and I can kind of take a look and help you get signed up for those. All right, any other questions? Okay, I think we might move on to our breakout sessions. Let's do it. Okay. So, like I said earlier, we're gonna split up into three groups here, based on roles. So we'll do kind of like an advisor breakout session, admin leadership session, and then enrollment folks. So pick and choose your best adventure. I love saying that. Whichever one that you feel like is maybe most relevant or you would like to be in those conversations today, and we'll break you all up into the three rooms. Here's some prompts, but also we know that there's a lot going on. Like, we just had talked about all these changes with the legislation. So feel free to take this opportunity to connect with others, ask maybe some questions that you have of your colleagues, what they're doing, learn from one another. So again, you do not necessarily need to follow these prompts unless you would like to. But so we just put a couple here on the board. What are you seeing right now for dual credit students? Where are students experiencing challenges or pressure points, and where are they finding success? What is feeling most challenging or most successful for staff right now? What support, clarity, or resources would be most helpful right now? And then, the mute. There we go. Okay, cool. So again, go ahead and pick and choose what room you'd like to join. We'll take it's about 9:30 right now. We'll take about 20 minutes and then we'll come back and just do some share outs and then we'll end our session at 10 a.m. today. All right. Thank you, everyone. I totally was a fly on the wall in one of the sessions, and it was just really enjoyable to hear the conversations that were going on. And I just appreciate you all. And we are going to try to do these more. I know it's really important, and I know we haven't done that in a little bit yet. So, heard loud and clear. I want to be conscious of time. I know we're kind of approaching 10 here. Would anybody like to just quickly share out maybe some takeaways from the room? And when you go to share, just briefly say like what room you were in out of the three.
I can talk from advising. I was in the advising breakout room. We had a nice discussion, and I would say probably the two things we spent the most time on. We touched briefly on AI and some of the impacts that we're seeing across the colleges with AI and just different experiences with that. But we spent a little bit of time talking about delayed graduation. And the students that are going to opt for that delayed graduation in the summer option, and some of the pros and cons, and the strategies around talking to students about what they might need to think about financial aid impacts for fall if they're going to a semester or school or something. So that was definitely. And then I would say we had a really good discussion right to close it out about budget cuts at the state level and how that's really creating dynamics that are tricky between colleges and high schools, and that the state has almost set us up for a system where we're competing against funds and trying to maintain these really collaborative partnerships, but knowing that there are some financial consequences on both sides of it, and really just trying to center the student about what's best for the student. But it gets tricky to navigate conversations, and when some high schools are supportive and other high schools are not, and just some of the dynamics around that. And so we're just sort of aware that as we continue to fill these budget crunches at state and federal level, it's going to create more and more tricky relationships, tricky conversations, and trying to navigate those in professional ways. So, and if anyone else in my group wants to summarize differently, but I think that's kind of the gist of what we talked about.
Thank you, Erica. It's amazing. All right, anybody else? Others from different groups or the same group too? I've got some thumbs up. Well, I will say this. We are going to make sure to have space for the college conversations moving forward. So look forward to that in April and May of the Running Start series. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. And I just wanted to say, heard loud and clear, we know we need to get that RSCVF out to you all ASAP. We know it's very timely. It's already overdue. And so we will do our best as state agencies to get that out as soon as possible to you all so you can do your jobs, advising, supporting, and working with our students and families. So thank you so much for your grace and patience as we um, try to scramble and get that done as soon as possible and out to you all. I just wanted to just make a mention. We have 3 more Running Start series for the remainder of the academic year. So April 15th, May 20th, and then June 17th. We hope to see you all there. And we thank you so much for your time today and just collaboration and partnership and always making the time. So really appreciate you all. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care, everybody.